We have the phenomenal Bob Beck, T3 out of Avon Lakes, Ohio, baseball, softball, developing young ball players into phenomenal men and women. Bob Beck, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. So thank you for inviting me onto your awesome podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. All right,
Yeah.
Bob. So we were just kind of chatting a little bit, and you just retired your day job, but you've been coaching and developing ball players for what, 15, 20 years, something like that, if I remember correctly?
25th year of coaching. Yep.
That's phenomenal. I'm really
Yep.
happy for you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you've had ball players go all over the nation, D1, D2, D3. Where's your count? Your count. There we go. Spit it out, Chris. Your count out now of baseball and softball players, would you say that you've been able to put out there?
I mean, I literally I'm doing probably like 40 hours a week of lessons, and I've been doing that for a decade and a half. So I mean, I've been privileged enough to work with baseball, softball players. Probably, I'd have to say like, 5,000-6,000 like players total, like over the years. Just a lot of players. Yeah.
No, I hear you. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
One thing that I like to talk about with coaches is mindset. Being a coach, we're all just a little bit kind of crazy, a little goofy. And would you say your main mindset to get into these young ball players is?
For me, like, it's, to me, it's like life lessons applied to the mental side of it, to hitting in softball. To me, I always talk about the highs and the lows of the game and life. You can, one moment you can, you hit a grand slam, be on top of the mountain. Next inning, you go out in the field and bases loaded and ball goes through your legs, and the tying run scores, and you're at rock bottom. And to me, it's trying to find your staying in the middle, like find your middle ground and just live there, on the field, in life in general.
I want to piggyback off of that.
Yeah. You like to piggyback.
The question kind of goes to, developing these kids over many years. What is one of the number one and maybe one or two things that you're correcting most?
Just confidence, like the ability to deal with the quick adversity of the game. You learn how to deal with the failure part. We all talk about failure. To me, it's like, it's only failure if you don't actually, find your way out. So it's that's probably pretty much most of it I deal with, the confidence thing, especially with these young players, because for them, they're all results oriented, and in baseball and softball, it's all process oriented. It takes time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So
do you also deal with it in the extreme, like how to keep them from, you want confidence, but you don't want arrogance?
yeah, there's a difference between being confident and being cocky. You definitely want to have swag. I call it swag. You want to have that in the game. I mean, you're only going to be the best player on the field if you believe you can be the best player on the field, but you got to be humble. It really comes down to humility.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. So one thing that I like to talk about is being uncomfortable. And sometimes when ball players get too comfortable, they get complacent, right?
Right.
How do you like to make the uncomfortable comfortable for ball players?
Just to get them to get over the results part of it. Like, to me, it's if you want to succeed, you have to learn how to grind out the tough times. I tell my players, when you're feeling like crap, that's when you gotta dig down and actually just embrace the challenge, embrace being uncomfortable, want the stick in your hand, with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning, with the winning run on third base. And you want to be that person, whether you fail or not, like, as far as the result is concerned. So yeah.
Do you 25 years of coaching, biggest thing I always learned was go to the basics, right? When you're having trouble, go back to the basics. But what have you seen in 25 years of coaching that you've seen the most change in the sport?
The most change in the sport, I would say just playing the game the right way, like just like you talked about before, like just the fundamentals of the game. Today's today, and with pitching, it's how hard you throw. With hitting, it's how many home runs you hit. You see it, you see Instagram, Twitter all full of the home run swings, but the game is lived and won, and the battles are, you succeed in those battles, when you take the ugly swing and dump it over the second baseman's head for the game winning hit, or you ground out in, with less than 2 outs, and a tying run scores, so that's what I'd have to say is, for me, that the biggest change in the game is just, what is success? What is success in the game?
I like it. When you see that a young ball player has the want to instead of have to, what does that do for you up here to help them get better?
What does it do for me?
Yeah.
I think it's easier for me to get them to realize, I get to do this today, not I have to do this today. I think that is like, that's a life lesson, how many times y'all get out of bed and we're just like, ah, shit, I have to go to baseball today. And it's like, no, wait a minute, I get to go to baseball today. Like, if you can flip the switch onto there, then really, to be honest with you, I don't think you can really, worry about being uncomfortable, because that'll never even be a thing. You just go do what you got to do every day, get up and grind and enjoy it, embrace the challenges. Don't get too down when things are rock bottom, and don't get too high when things are up. But again, it all comes back to just living in the middle. Yeah.
What would you think in today's recruiting is the one attribute that coaches are probably looking for?
I actually, I think it comes down to that attitude, that humility attitude, that work hard attitude. Not just the me, the player who is all about the team. I talk to my players all the time. How do you thrive on the field? And, the ones that really understand me and what I try to teach will always go back to, I play for my team. Like, trying to win that way. And then your stats are better. You help the team win. You're not selfish. If you're on the bench that day, you're cheering for your team. To me, like, coaches more and more are recruiting parents, and a lot of these kids are a product of their parent, and that's good or bad.
Yeah.
That's big, actually. Yeah.
When I was doing some recruiting, that was definitely one of the big things, is being able to see what the character of the parents were, because that ball player was going to be with me, because I was at a JUCO 2 years, and same with those parents, maybe even 3 years if they redshirt. What kind of character do the parents have? And a lot of people don't understand that the parents get recruited as much as the player does.
100%. In travel ball too, it's easy to see who's going to be I have a real quick story. Like, my son was getting recruited by Toledo, Corey Mead, when he was with Toledo, and we were in the locker room, the last part of it, and everyone's standing around. This real brand new locker room was beautiful. And one of the moms goes, "Coach, how do you handle playing time?" And he just looks back and he goes, "How do I handle playing time?" He goes, "Ma'am, I'm going to tell you right now." He goes, "And I'll tell you boys this right now. You may be the best high school player right now, and that's why you're sitting in this room. But I'm going to tell you right now, when you get into this room next year in this locker room, I'm going to tell you, hey, next year, guess what? I'm going to go find somebody better than you." He's like, "There's no guarantee here. My job is to win and to recruit the best players I can. Your job is to prove to me that you're worthy of me picking you." To me, that always stuck out.
Yep. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Always trying to find players better than you to make the team that much more better.
Yep. But it brings out the best in the players too. When they have something to work for,
That's right.
Yep.
You're either going to succeed or you're going to fail, because you're going to come up with an excuse not to succeed.
And on that same line, you're talking about being humble and being a part of the team and stuff, but now we have the portal.
Yeah.
And so it's changed a lot in all sports.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that with some of the kids that are coming up? Or do you even get into that? Or do you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was hoping to hear, is that you have dealt with it. And what is kind of the mindset?
I think the biggest thing with the portal now is players need to realize they have to be realistic about where they can play. Like D1's a clog right now, so it makes them even look more into hey, look, maybe D2 is better for me, maybe D3, maybe JUCO. To me, I always tell all my players, and I've done this forever. It's like you pick a school where you want to get your education first, and if baseball or softball doesn't work out, you don't feel like you have to transfer. And where are you going to play the earliest? Where are you going to get the chance to play the earliest? Because most of us only get 2, 3, 4 years in this game if we go to the next level. So that portal is. I actually don't like it. I just see more coaches are using it to decommit players too now, and it's become a real bad it's a comfort zone for coaches because they could stop your recruiting right now and they could just go to somebody who's an experienced player, as and they don't need to go to high school.
That's why I jumped on it. It was like, I'm going to go find somebody better than you, yet at the same time you can jump. There's a whole bunch of things going on there.
There's a stat out there that 36% of the athletes, that's all sports, that enter the portal don't land somewhere.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
That's huge.
I know.
36%.
Well, let's add even more to the whole mix now. And let's see if you deal with this as well, but you now have money.
Yeah, the
NIL. So now they're thinking they all should be paid. And I'm hearing there's a whole entire high school team that has been paid in the NIL.
I didn't know that.
Dwindling down into the high schools. And how are you going to be dealing with that with these kids that are thinking, oh, I'm worth this and this and this money-wise, and you're losing maybe the love of the game for money?
Yeah, and I try to tell all my players anyway. It's like, baseball and softball, it's the poor man's sport anyway. So unless you're a pitcher or catcher, you're probably only going to either get a preferred walk-on or 25%, so it's like, you're trying to me, it's like the academic side, like you seed there and get as much academic grant money as you can. And, you hopefully land a little baseball, softball money. Cause those players do get the chances to play first, no matter what anybody says, for the most part. If you get money, the coaches, they're investing in you. They're going to give you a legitimate shot usually. Right. And then, you earn it from there. But yeah, it is sad. Like this new culture of, everything's got to be about money. To me, my son Tyler, he took a preferred walk-on to Ohio University because he had money offers at a couple of other schools, but he wanted to go there for his education. He was clear on that. And
the doctor,
exactly right.
He's a doctor. His son's a doctor. The doctor.
Well, let me ask, because it might even be a question for both of you, because I don't know this. You were talking about catchers and pitchers are pretty much the ones that get the money, right? When they're going.
Seems like they're always ones getting that 65-70%ers.
So what's that difference? That's the draw is the pitchers and the catchers, but the other ones aren't getting the rides. Is that what we're talking about?
Well, you look at like 35 to 37 man rosters. There's what is it like there's like 11.2% scholarship for every 30. So even if you divided a whole roster 25%, you'd still have how many walk-ons? I mean, you do the math. It's
it's ridiculous. 11,
most of my walk-ons.
3. If you did it's ridiculous. I mean, what people don't also understand is that you do not get full rides anymore. It's extremely rare. You have 11.2 or 9.2 for baseball scholarship money, and they break that down into quarters, halves, thirds, all that. And if you're coming in as a freshman and you get 25%, you better have good grades to get all
the rest of that
academic money.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Secondary to that, if you're going in as a freshman, your sophomore year, you still have to earn your scholarship. You don't just get a scholarship because you get a scholarship. Oh, no. You have to earn it. So if you're not a good teammate, if you're not putting in effort, if you're basically, not doing your job, that coach isn't going to give you that money. Am I right or am I wrong?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, because I tell my ball players again, the education and the play early is more important than anything, because the money is just, regardless, it's peanuts really for the most part, especially if you're like a D3 school, you're in these $55,000-$60,000 schools. If you don't have like a 4.0, you're screwed. There's 70 players on a roster, Yeah.
Well, you got to have academic money because they don't have any
What I mean.
scholarships per se.
That's what I mean. It's got to be academic money. You don't get anything else.
NAIA. What else? God, I had another good question for you, and I just brain cramped.
Well, I'm going to go back to something he said. So while you're thinking about that, you were talking about how D1 is jam packed. Is that because the pandemic allowed the extra year of eligibility, and that's okay? So what's happening with everybody coming up then?
I think it's like with the extra years of eligibility and the ability to just basically go into the portal and pick players with experience. It's almost like now, it's difficult the kids coming up are screwed basically, unless you're that stud who's everybody's reading about. Can you guys see me? I think I fell off the screen here.
No, you're good. You're good. We got you.
I don't see you right now. There you go. Okay.
Like you're better off then.
Yeah, I mean, the guys coming up, they're again, they're walking into a portal of like 3,000 names. Like, again, can be realistic about where you can play. You might have to get off this D1 thing unless you're a true D1er,
Oh yeah. So I want to kind of go a little sideways here. What is one of your favorite moments as a coach?
I'm gonna go all the way back to Big League Edge, and coming out there with the way it happened is one of my 10-year-old kids was wanted to get on this LABC thing, whatever, and he sent an email with a video that I made of him in our T3 facility to Jim. Jim like called him and said, "Hey, who's your video guy? That guy should be like working for me." And he gave me his name, and Jim called me. He's like, "Hey, you want to do these tryouts?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'll come out," and blah, blah, blah. And he flew out, and we ended up having like 60 kids coming, like from all over Michigan, just like Indiana, like all around. And we put together a few teams, and he took me out to, and I asked him, I go, can I get involved in this? He goes, "Yeah, probably like next year. It's kind of late in the game. I don't have a spot for you. Let's go out to eat like after the thing." So we went out and went to BW3, and he's like, "Yeah, I was just kidding you." He's like, I'm gonna ask you to coach with me. And
that's Jim.
Yeah. So that for me was it. And then I get to go coach a team with Tim Belk.
That's right.
Tim was just her cerebral knowledge of the game was how much I learned from him. And he's like, "Hey, you write out the lineups, Bob. I'm just gonna work with the pitchers." And I was making out lineups against league dime teams, teams that are just kids that just like could have played Major League Baseball at age 6, it was that to me, I would say that's my biggest moment, in sports. So coaching my kids obviously was all the way through was definitely like my biggest thing I've been able to do. And my third thing is like how many players I've been fortunate enough to work with for 6-7 years from age 11 and then stand behind them, on their signing day. Like, and that's happened a lot. So I've been fortunate there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, this is my favorite question.
Oh yeah. We know.
I think coaches are the best at this one.
Oh yeah.
So I love asking the superstitious question of baseball because it's such a superstitious sports. But we've had coaches that have given us better answers. One of my favorite things is you don't mess with a streak. But you've coached a lot of kids too. So I'm going to ask it a little differently. Either do you have an awesome superstition? Are you in that mood today? Do you have any interesting superstitions, or what is the best superstition that you saw of a kid that it was interesting? You're like, what are you doing? But could have been gross or fun or whatever it was.
Superstition. You kind of have me on a snag here. It just, I've kind of been a follower in that sense. Like don't walk on the line coming off the field. Don't talk about a no-hitter. But as far as a superstition from a player, I'm sure I have one. I just be honest, man, I'm stumped right now.
You gotta watch out for this guy because he talks
this.
What's yours?
All about.
I'll ask you what's yours.
The game.
So hold on. This guy starts talking. Hey, he's got a no-hitter going. We're at a Reno Aces game, and he sits there and he starts saying it. Next freaking pitch, the guy hits a freaking CDH over the shortstop. breaks up the no-hitter. We're in the 6th inning, and I just look at him like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, but who got the ball?
Yeah. And then this Jamoke gets the ball that breaks up the no-no. Seriously? Seriously.
I had no skin in the game. I could care less who won that
Yeah,
game.
but you still don't talk about a no-no.
Yeah, right.
Ah.
That is that is a big thing, you know.
It's a fun thing as a fan.
Oh, yeah. So you've worked with both boys and girls on the field. I have as well. Which one do you like the most?
These days, softball. I mean, the girls are so much easier to live with. I to deal with as far as just from just their attitude seem to be better. Like, yeah, you know what it's like. You go to a softball game and it's you can't even hear yourself think. It's so loud and everybody's into the game. Where baseball, you can sometimes. I'm like, my biggest line is like, you know, it's like a fucking morgue in here. Like, you know, because there's sometimes it's dugouts like no chatter, no, not that you got to be rah rah rah, but in softball the energy is always there.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely like, I work with both, but I'm gravitating more towards just enjoying the softball part of it so much
Yeah.
more on the back end of my career, you know.
Don't get me wrong. I love baseball. I love it to death. I love the development of ball players, baseball players. But when I made the transition from baseball to softball, it was like an instant, I fell in love with it. It was just a different monster. It was a faster game. It was more passion. And that's just my opinion. But
Me too.
that's what I loved about it.
I may get to coach at college, like this new program I'm running. You know, I got a girl that's at Fordham University and she's got a bunch of girls, you know, that want to play in the summer, just like 3 tournaments. And if that's the case, I'm coaching that team for sure. All I gotta do is make out lineups and I'll look really good doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the U23 out there?
That's what we're looking to put together on the softball side. We have it on the baseball side.
Right.
Yeah.
We're in California, they have one down in SoCal and it's starting to thrive. It's kind of still, you know, silent and a lot of people haven't heard about it, but it's growing and word's getting out. It's going to be a phenomenal collegiate league, I think. But that's just
great.
what I see. Yeah,
That's
definitely.
Great. Yeah.
Man, that was great.
Yeah. Bob, I got to tell you, it is so good to see you.
You,
like
man.
always, mad respect for you, sir. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah, we got some
I
gold in
appreciate
there.
you having me.
Yeah, definitely. So from all of us here and Bob Beck at What Up Sports Nation, you guys have a great day
and a better tomorrow.
You know it. What up, folks? Thank you.
What up?